My name is Ramesh Iyer. I'm usually not so loud, so I got a little bit. Okay. Um, can we have the slides, please? So that was an interesting session from Ravi and a pleasant change from the normal PowerPoint presentations that we typically do. So I'm actually going to take you back to the boring presentation. Go ahead, next slide, please. Oh, this works. So the topic is deceptive. I said I will do a session on nurturing next generation talent, and you will understand why I'm saying it's deceptive as we go through the slides. Just to give you a brief background about myself, I worked in manufacturing. Basically, I did my graduation in mechanical engineering, then worked in manufacturing, building a warship for the Indian Navy for some time before I realized that. And during that process, I realized that my interest is somewhere else. So I tried to expand to what I wanted to do, went on to do my MBA, and then started working in enterprise resource planning domain, initially in consulting and now with Oracle for close to 14 years. So I'm not used to talking to a faculty population. Typically I've talked about products to either consultants or implementers or the customers. That is what I've done. But this is a different experience, and I think you'll bear with me for whatever mistakes I do. Because after my graduation seminar or my MBA presentations, I have not presented in front of faculty members. Doesn't work? Okay. Sensor is there? Okay, thank you. So the agenda that I have on my slides is I just wanted to briefly touch upon the technology landscape. Everybody talks about the same thing. I thought I will not spend too much time on that. And then on the IT professional as such, I work for Oracle, so we work primarily on the software side, and we do have the hardware side also post the acquisition of Sun Microsystems. So I'll just briefly touch upon the industry expectation, which is typically generic, and then look at student engagement model. This is based on my personal experience with hiring from campus. So I've been to campuses, the IITs, most of the IITs in India, many NITs, as well as the top talent colleges like College of Engineering Guindy or the PSGs or the top colleges in Kerala and South India. So that's one experience that is actually going to give me, or it will influence my perspective on whatever I'm going to talk about in terms of expectation and in terms of the engagement model that I'm going to talk about. Last but not the least, I'll touch upon educator evolution. I believe there is a slightly different variation that is needed for educators to really influence the students. I wouldn't say direct the students, I would say influence the students to really go down the right path. And then I'll have a quick summary of whatever I covered. So on the technology landscape, if you really look at it, you typically hear about three words: cloud, social, and mobile. This is very, very important for the industry. Now the first one, I hope you can see the picture. It's about cloud. Now there is a transition that is happening big time in terms of enterprises moving away from on-premise software or on-premise installation to cloud software. It could be anything to do with infrastructure. It could be your servers, it could be your storage, it could be virtualization, any of those things. It could be platforms like you need a Java platform or you want a database platform. You get those things as services now. You don't have to buy hardware, you don't have to install software in your systems to really go and leverage those services. And last but not the least, you have software as a service, which is typically for business applications. You have this customer relationship management, human capital management software, etc., which is used by global companies to really optimize their business operations, basically automate and optimize their business operations. So pretty much there's a shift that is happening towards cloud. One is the ease of use, the other is the cost of ownership can really come down. Of course, it goes with the risk of, some level of concerns would be there on data security, data privacy, etc., which are really taken care well in large clouds, large companies managing the clouds. Next one is social. Now, how many of you have a Facebook account? Can I have a raise of hands? Yeah. So pretty much everybody has a Facebook account. So the influence of Facebook or other social networks on the day-to-day life, whether it is the personal life or the professional life, is very profound. And if you really look at it, now earlier days you go buy a product and you don't like the product, you probably tell your neighbors or you tell your friends. The number of people that you reach out to really show your frustration is limited. Whereas today, if you go and put it on your Facebook, right, it is viral. It is extremely viral. So the impact on companies is very, very profound. If you really, and they started caring about customers' expectations, aspirations, as well as grievances or challenges that they are facing by looking at social networks. So today, there is a large area that actually focuses on what kind of conversations are happening and create insightful information for businesses so that they can really model their offerings or solutions in a better way so that they can please a large number of customers and reduce customer dissatisfaction. Last but not the least, mobile and tablets. So this is another thing that has changed the way companies operate, people work. If you really look at IT industry or any large companies, pretty much most of the processes are automated. People used to work with desktops, it moved to laptops. Now the change is they are pretty much moving to tablets. So I'm here in this hall. If I want to really look at what's going on in my office, I can use my smartphone to do what's going on in my office. So if I have to really look at critical stuff, I can really get that information on my fingertips. So this has changed the way people work. This has changed the way people interact with others on the personal side also. How many of you use WhatsApp? Again, another profound tool. If you really look at it, on the mobile, you can communicate, you could have interest groups, right? These are, three key areas where a lot of interest is there. And from the generation of people that are coming through in the last few years, their interest on mobile, they're very tech savvy. They're very tech savvy in the sense that they like to use gadgets. They are very good in using gadgets. So there are some people who come and who want to really work only on these areas, but it's not necessary that everybody gets to work on these areas. So there are certain key things that people need to understand. What are the fundamental expectations from an IT industry? So whether it is Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, whatever happens, the fundamental expectations in any industry, right, especially in this IT industry, it has remained the same. You need to have people with good subject knowledge. If you're a computer science professional, you're expected to know operating systems, data structures, algorithms. These areas are very critical for computer science grads. Now, on top of that, you need to have good logical ability, analytical ability, ability to program. You can just learn theory, but you cannot really apply it. That is the most common issue that we find when we actually go for hiring in campuses. And last but not the least, communication skills. Now, most of the organizations are becoming global. It is extremely important to communicate in English. It's okay to really communicate in the vernacular language or the regional language in your community when you're in, when all the people speak the same language. But if you have other people around who don't understand that language, in a professional environment, it becomes an issue. Okay, so English communication is extremely important. That I move on to a few other behavioral aspects, which is again, I might be stating the obvious, but these are extremely critical for anybody to be successful in any organization. First is attention to detail. Now, what I find is the generation, the new generation, they're really good at picking up things, but when it comes to paying attention to detail, there is a lot more improvement that is expected. They take things for granted, so that's something that needs to be paid attention to. Quality orientation. Hey, it's okay if I do this assignment this way, let me copy from here and just do something, get away with it. It's not, the attitude has to be different. Coming to result orientation is like, hey, I'm expected to do this task by so-and-so date with so-and-so metrics in terms of how it should work, how the quality should be. People should have a drive to really achieve that. Now, you find it with most of the top performers in academics, but that's not necessarily an attribute that will help them. Only result orientation is not going to help them. One other point that I want to touch on, the fundamental aspect is, if you really look at this generation, they don't want to take no as an answer. They don't want to really receive critical feedback. They always want positive appreciation. So that's another thing that people need to work on. So I don't know how, as a from a faculty standpoint, how you can influence this, but I just wanted to throw this in front of you and make sure that, you understand these are very, very critical from an industry standpoint. Now, as I mentioned, most of these companies are operating in a global fashion, even whether you look at the TCS or Infosys or IBM or Oracle, these are all global companies. They have presence in pretty much every part of the world. And you need to work with different culture, people from different culture, people who speak different languages, who have different work-life balance patterns, right? So it's extremely important to really understand what does it mean to work in a globalized environment. Integrity and ethics, extremely important. When you say, hey, I will do something, you have to really do that. Right? You cannot really say, come up with excuses. You can really, if there are genuine reasons that can be talked about, but when you really talk about integrity and ethics, you don't really try to twist the story and try to come up with something which actually creates issues. In a global environment, people operate on trust, and once you lose that, you might do 99% of the time you do the right thing. You do only 1 in 100 times you just do something wrong, you went wrong somewhere, that will really stay in the mind forever. So it's extremely important to keep integrity and ethics as one of the top items. Drive to learn and innovate. This is another thing. If you really look at it, people study to really get a job. Like, in the morning some speaker was mentioning, hey, I want to get really this kind of compensation. Now, if that is the focus, it is extremely short term. It's not really going to help in the long term. So if somebody wants to really look at a long-term career, you need to cultivate the drive for learning. Basically, it's not just what and how I do it, why it is being done that way, in a particular way. So this is extremely important. Collaboration in this environment, you need to really collaborate with different people. Ability to understand interpersonal interactions is very, very important. And industry awareness. So I just want to give you a small example here. You have good computer science grads who do good programming, good subject knowledge. Now this was, I believe, 2011 or 2012, I was in one of the campuses. There was this person who had very good academic skills, very good programming ability, and my question was, hey, can you tell me an innovation that happened in the last 5 to 10 years which changed the way the world is moving? Now, there were many innovations that were possible for a computer science grad. They could have said something like an iPhone or something like a tablet device. The answer was kind of intriguing. The answer was set-top box. Okay, so the focus was, something different, and it is extremely important as to how the industry is moving, what are the technology trends. General awareness has to be there. Adapting to change. It's a rapidly changing environment. Technology moves very fast. So we just need to make sure, we are equipped to really adapt to the changes that happen in the industry. On the student engagement model, this is something that I deal with post the campus guys coming into the workplace. We put them through some basic training, and they are actually given live project descriptions with which they go and do projects in a 2-week period or a 3-week period. Basically a time-bound project given with specific expectations and specific timelines and specific quality expectations. So this has helped a lot, and I believe this will help a lot in the academic world also. So you just need to really look at how you can create projects or get students to do more projects and assignments which enhances their learning. Internships is another important thing. We do, in Oracle at least, we do get people for 6 months internship from some of the top institutes. That really helps them grow. And if you have an opportunity to really help your students do internships, please encourage them to do and help them to do that. The interest groups is what I'm referring to here is, you do have students with like-minded interests. So somebody is interested in mobile technology, somebody is interested in operating systems, somebody is interested in social networking, right? So you could really form students groups which actually focuses on one of these interest areas and takes it forward and develops projects, does internal presentations, etc. on that area. Hackathons is another great idea. Typically, if you really look at organizations, they organize hackathons wherein you have an ideation stage, which is typically for a 3-day period or so, and you have to really create something useful in a 24-hour timeline. So these kind of competitions enhance people's drive to learn, people's drive to really achieve something overnight, and the satisfaction that you see when they achieve something is immense, and the learning that goes along with it is also immense. And last but not the least, I find that the alumni utilization in many of the institutions is not up to the mark. You have students from your institutes going and working in big companies, doing really good work in many of the technology areas, and very few people come back to the institute to do sessions. So I believe it's the need of the student community. They need to organize and see whether they can really go and engage the alumni to really do more sessions for them. On the educator evolution, basically this is aimed at you, so bear with me, this is just a perspective. based on what I have seen from campuses, I feel strongly that the exam orientation is much, much higher compared to the learning orientation. What I mean by examination orientation is, I mean, it's kind of, you give them notes, you give them guides to really go and address how you appear in a university exam and score good marks. That is important, but at the same time, what they need to do is they need to develop conceptual understanding and an inclination towards the areas that they are interested in. So that is something that as faculty members, if you can really put your effort to do it, that'll be useful. As faculty members, again, I mean, you need to be up to date with the technology trends and what is happening in the industry. It's very easy nowadays. You have all the resources available via the internet, and even the newspapers actually give you some useful information. You could also participate in some of the projects and interest groups. For example, you have the signaling systems projects or any projects that are done for government organization. If you could run some pilots wherein you yourself could participate, that gives you a different experience and gives you an insight into what should be given to the students. And on the industry interface, I believe, I mean, a lot needs to be done. From a faculty standpoint, I don't know how much of industry interface you get, whether it is IT or any other area. So it'll be good for you to really see whether you have opportunities to go interact with industry people. I think I'm running out of time. Last but not the least, you should really come out as an approachable, energetic and knowledgeable mentor. It's a high energy student population that you have. They need to really feel the energy and association when they actually interact with you. I'll quickly wind up with my summary. I would say whether it is Gen X or Gen Y, the fundamental skills remain same. You need to continue to focus on that. You need to imbibe skills that are needed for global environment, which is something that I mentioned. Learning-driven, demanding student engagement model. By that, what I mean is you need to really give them real assignments that test their ability to apply knowledge and keep the bar high, keep the bar really high. And last but not the least, educate a revolution to embrace, adapt, and roll out effective learning methodology. I touched upon it in the previous slide. So that's the, with that I come to the conclusion. If you have any questions towards the end of this session,